Coach David Buchanan. Coach Chuck Smith. Two legendary high school football coaches. This is the Coach's Office, a behind-the-scenes look at Kentucky high school football. It's Coach's Office Trivia Time. Name the schools that no longer exist that have won a KHSAA state football title.
Welcome to the Coach's Office behind the scenes with Chuck Smith and David Buchanan. This is season 4, episode 13. Wow. And then I'm Chuck Smith. I'm joined by co-host David Buchanan and podcast editor, storyteller Mike Yoakum. Our YouTube version of this podcast is at TCOP. And if you would hit like and subscribe when you get on that or access that, we would really appreciate it. Our guest coach tonight is Lexington Catholic's David Clark. It's his first year there. You know, David spent most of his career at Bardstown High School. But boy, he's gone to Lexington Catholic and he's got them hitting on all cylinders and they're looking really strong. Some real impressive wins so far this year. We're going to bring David on in just a second. Our tough topic for tonight that David and I will address will be what is the role of the parent in your football program? And that'll be an interesting question and some interesting comments from David and I. Games of the week, we will take 2 games out of each class, and we will look at those games and predict who we think will win those games. So they'll come. Go.
Hey, since we're both old, I know we're both going to have like 5 stories on every team in the playoffs. Are we going to get to tell all 5 stories, or if I got to keep it to 1, or how's that going to go?
No, it's going to be short. It'd be a rapid fire type of thing. But you can.
Hey, I struggle with rapid fire. All right, keep going.
All right, let's talk a little bit about David before we bring him on, okay? Now, David Clark is the head football coach of Lexington Catholic High School. He is a 1996 Center College grad, and he played for the legendary Joe McDaniel. And he spent 27 years at Bardstown High School, 17 as the head football coach from 2007 to 2023. He was the head football coach. Prior to that, he was an assistant coach. As a head coach, he's had a 3A regional championship, a state runner-up finish in 2022. He has had like 4 state semifinal games. He's had 2 undefeated regular seasons. He has over 130 or about 131 wins as a head football coach. I don't think that's counting Lexington Catholic, but 131 wins as a head football coach. As an assistant, then he won with Joey Downs. He was assistant to Joey Downs. They won the 2001 state championship. And then he retired after the 2023 season. And then he took over for Lexington Catholic in the 2025 season. He's currently got Lexington Catholic at 9-2 going into the second round. Off to a strong start. I personally worked with David for a year. Man, what a great, outstanding football coach he is, and a great person as well. But I truly appreciate how he treated me over that 1 year. David, you want to bring David on?
Yes, I do. And we can go off on so many tangents. The Center College, David was actually a good quarterback. I was down there on the scout team. But David, I think of all the things that made me mean the most. Man, that 1 year I didn't have a team, and it was rough. You let me come down and talk to your team one Friday at lunch, and man, I had a blast. That was really cool. So thanks for helping an unemployed football coach out there for a week. It was good. And thanks for joining us tonight. We're really glad to have you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep. Well, David, I'll start it off right here. Look, you were 27 years at Bardstown High School. Then you come after a year off. You come back, and then you come back into the same district. and go to Lexington Catholic. So therefore, that meant that you had to line up on the opposite sideline from the program that you spent 27 years at. How can you, what was your thoughts? What did you think about all that?
I was actually at Bardstown for 28. I did a bonus year. I got one more after 27. I did one more for 28. Then the other irony of it is I'm the one who petitioned to move us over into Lexington Catholic's district back when they realigned. So I didn't know I was setting myself up there. But football's football. The kids are the kids. So once I got to the game, it was just football, and that it just takes over, and you guys know how that is. The hard part is just the relationship part of it, seeing those guys across, and heck, most of the guys that are coaching over there, I coached. And if you're 45 or younger, I taught you over there. So, seeing everybody that I had a personal relationship, that was the tough part. And the junior and senior class, those were kids that came through our program all the way from, when they were little Tigers all the way through. So I had a lot of personal relationships there. So that part was tough.
Yeah, did you, what was before the game, I guess it was all, lovey-dovey and shaking hands and telling those stories. But then after the game, you all kind of put it on Bardstown kind of pretty good, wasn't it?
Well, one of the things that made my situation unique is that I retired. So I was their old coach anyways. It wasn't like I left the program. So it was really good to see those kids. And after the game, it was so good to give them hugs and just tell them how proud of them I was of them, watching them growing up. And same thing with the coaching staff. So it was a good bookend to a night for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Was you real nervous or anything like that, like before the game or anything like that? Was you, you seem to be, okay with it. I mean, you didn't have any, like, I don't know if I would have lined up against Boyle County after, like a year or so, I would have really, I don't know. I don't know what I would have thought. I guess that's why I'm asking you.
Yeah. And I think it comes back to what I said first is like, once you get in between those lines, it's football, and football is football, no matter who it is. You're playing a game, and you're strategizing. You're trying to reach your goals. So once that part of it started, everything else, that's all you think about.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Well, hey, David, tell us about your experience playing for Coach Joe McDaniel at center, and how that's impacted you as a high school football coach.
Well, I will elaborate on that a little bit. Is not only did I play for Joe McDaniel, but I got the honor to play for Dan Haley in high school, which is a legendary coach, and both of those men had a lot of impact on me as a person and on my coaching style. Coach Haley, he taught me how that you could be tough and very demanding at the same time. Show your players that you care about them. And I think that was very, very important. Coach McDaniel showed me how to prepare. He was also very demanding, but Coach McDaniel did it in a way that he treated you like a man. He treated everybody like a man, and he never. I don't know if I heard him raise his voice very often, and you never heard him say a cross or a curse word at you. He just really treated you professionally at that age, and that's something that I've really tried to continue on and carry over to the kids is coach them hard, but at the same time, treat them like men.
I got you.
He's come up a lot on this show. He has. He's really, and I've met him before through recruiting. I really like him a lot. He was what everybody says he is, and just a great guy.
About Coach Haley.
Coach Haley.
Coach Haley. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Coach Haley. He's come up a lot. I mean, other coaches have mentioned him on here, and he's done a good. He was really a good guy. Yeah.
My dad said Dan Haley was the best offensive line coach in the state of Kentucky, for what it's worth. That was 50 years ago.
Yeah.
He taught me how to run the veer, and those principles are some of the principles that still use. The three, we ran the option, and it didn't matter what you were going to line up in. By God, we were going to run it. And every now and then we got crazy, and we go we go 2 receivers instead of 1, but about as wild as we got.
Yeah.
Hey, David, you spent most of your career coaching and teaching in public schools. Now you're over at a private school like Lexington Catholic. How would you describe the difference in the kids, their mindsets, their attitude, even their approach to the game?
Well, I think one of the things is, like I said before, is football is football, kids are kids. No matter where you go, those things aren't going to change. The biggest difference that I have learned that I not necessarily understood until I was a part of it is people that are in private education are there by choice. And by being there by choice, you coach them differently. You can, because they're there because they want to be. In public education, not everybody's there because they want to be. Now, and they're grabbing a hold of football, and you're using football as a tool to help them for their educational purposes. Here, it's not that's not the same case. So when somebody's there because they want to be, you can approach the game a lot differently.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
but that's an interesting and a good answer.
Yeah, that is a good answer. Hey, to talk a little bit now more about the football piece of it. You talked about, your background with Coach Haley and then Coach McDaniel and then being a head coach and then before that with Joey Downs. So I'm going to try to narrow it down a little bit. In the past 5 years, what are changes you've made either schematically or in the way that you run your program that you believe have led to increased success on the field? What are some adjustments you make? And specifically, one I'd like to hear about, which I would think is a fairly new adjustment. I hear a lot of talk about your 3 safety defense and how effective it is and how good it is at disguising coverages. So, sort of tell us, what are some things you've done differently here recently that you think have helped you?
Well, I think to kind of work backwards on that, I think the key is to have uncompromising fundamental principles that you are not going to change. And then you build your program based upon those principles that they're the things that we're not going to compromise on. So we laid that foundation, and then all that other stuff can change. Like how you do your weight program, what scheme you're going to run, all that other kind of stuff. You got to go with the flow. But the things that we stand for, those things are uncompromising. We're not going to get away from those. But when we started looking at what type of system that we were going to run, we knew we had some good defensive players. We knew we had some unique defensive players with our defensive line that were fast, strong, and athletic. So we built a system playing. It's a form of a 3-5, but our secondary is a major part of what we do. We built that around those 3 big guys that can be able to control the box.
So you called it a 3-5. You say it's a 3-5. It's not a 3-3-5.
I don't know. I don't know what you want to call it. It's gonna look like a 3-3-5 some. But we're gonna play a lot of different coverages. We're gonna show you different coverages. We're gonna, have the 3 defense is gonna be a lot of stunt type defense anyways. And so, that's what you're gonna get. And you're just gonna get a lot of multiple looks from what we do. And that's kind of what we try to do is get as many multiple looks as we can for the defense for the offenses to have create mismatches and problems for them.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll say they're doing a great job on defense. You've only given up 89 points for the entire year. That's one of the top defenses in the state.
Yes,
guys,
it is.
What are you doing, David? Are you doing the offense or defense, or are you just being the head coach?
I'm doing the offense. The defensive coordinator is Dave Nurnberg, and he ran this system a couple years ago for Lexington Catholic, and we actually played him in a scrimmage, and I loved what he did. And so when I came on, he was actually on the offensive side of the ball, and I said, I would like for you to go back to the defense and run the defense that you had. I really like what you do. And so he does an unbelievable job with it. And he understands the kids and his schemes, and he gets the kids in the right spots.
I think what's really helpful too, and I don't know if I don't think you've you separate it as private and public, but I know at private schools a lot of times you get a lot of smart kids, and you can do a whole lot when you've got kids that understand football and why you're doing what you're doing, and you can make a lot more adjustments and checks and things like that. So I think that always seems to fit private schools pretty good.
Well, being able to run a system with your kids that understand it is very, very important. Mm-hmm. Some of the other things that help is when you have numbers and you're only asking them to learn one side of the ball, you can do more that way too. So, we don't have as many kids playing both ways, which allows us to be a little bit more complex on the other side of the ball when they're only having to study one spot, one position.
I always knew that when I was at Boyle, when I had a smart kids, I knew we were going to go far. And it's the truth. I mean, it really is. It's a game of, when you get to this, start getting to the second, third, fourth levels, the smart ones are the ones who start separating themselves from everybody else. My opinion.
Knowing what to do when you have a really good team is you have players that know what to do, and then you have players that understand why you do what you do.
100%. 100%. Okay, David, my last question for you here is some people, and this comes up a lot on the show. That's why I want to ask is some of the people feel that private schools should have their own division and be separate from public schools. Now that you've been on both sides, what's your opinion of that?
Well, if you all remember back in the days, you all aren't much older than I am. We voted on this.
We did.
Whatever year that was, the early 2000s, we voted, and I voted to separate them.
Yeah.
I was on the side of the public schools, and I thought that the private schools should be separate. But as time has gone on, and
not to interrupt you, but that passed.
It passed. The state legislature said no.
That's right.
That's when KDE got involved in that one, and they knocked that sucker out. I don't know of any other delegation rule that they have overturned. That's the only one I remember in my time, and for 20 some years. But they knocked that one down. But as time has gone on, what we've seen is, I think, two major factors that have changed my opinion on it. One is you see kids that are transferring, going public to public at a high rate. You are not seeing very many kids that are being denied transfers anymore. Just from my own experience, I didn't see it very often. The other thing that I thought that the private schools had a competitive edge on the public schools was facilities. And since COVID, that is not the case. You see these public schools that are building these beautiful facilities, and they have the same resources that the private schools. In some cases, they have more resources than the private schools. So, they're able to, I think the playing field is a whole lot more even than what it was 20 years ago by far. And the delegation just passed the one transfer rule this past September. So, landscape's going to change even more, and depending upon how all that shakes out.
Yeah. I agree with what you say. There's only two exceptions to those comparisons, and they are Trinity. Yeah, that's the only two exceptions to that. They have that's a whole nother subject. We'll get into that. Anyway, David.
I was going to say I really like what he said, and again I go back to what Marvin Dantzler shared with us. I don't think it's public-private anymore. I think it's more select versus non-select if you're going to go down that road, because as David said, there's as much, if not more, transfers flowing into the public schools as there are the private now. And it's very different from, say, as you said, 20 years ago when they were voting on that. So I appreciate it, David. You've been a wonderful guest, and hey, good luck this week. How do you prepare for Central? They've change coaches. What's that been like?
Well, we prepared for them just based upon what we've seen them on film, and preparing for them the same way.
Yeah.
Now, if they decide to do something different, then we'll find out. But Lonnie Oldham's been around for a long time. He's been in the game for a really long time. So, and he's been their offensive coordinator. So we think we have a pretty good idea of what they plan to do, unless they just decide to change everything. But the past 2 games, they've been pretty consistent with what they've been doing all season. So
I got you. Good
luck. Good luck to you, David.
Good luck to you. Hey, and
thanks, guys. I
you.
really enjoyed your time.
David, we going
Yes,
to
sir.
our next segment of the podcast, and of course that's the tough topic, and it's off the Bluegrass Preps again. Bluegrass Preps has been good to us with these questions. This is from
They really have.
AL Cat. Is that what it is? AL Cat?
Yeah, I don't know if it's ATL Cat or Atlanta Cat. I can't tell which it is. But anyway, he's a pretty prominent member on Bluegrass Preps, and I usually enjoy his content. It's been pretty good.
Yeah. Well, the question is, what is the role of the parent in a football program? And of course, I've been out of it for a few years, but as a head coach, and you right in the middle of all of it. Let's hear your opinion.
Well, I go back to something you told me a long time ago. And you told me, said, people are going to, especially when you're having success, people will want to have a role in your program. And if you don't give them a role, they're going to find one. Mm-hmm. So I took that to heart. And we actually have in our player, when we meet in May with our players and parents, we have a page called Role of Parents in Supporting Their Son as a Football Player. We've got 11 things listed, and it's about encouraging him to take care of his body, to do his best. Encourage your son to put the team first. That's not normal. I put this in here. I hope this isn't too obnoxious. I say, if I showed up at your work to tell you how to do your job, you're going to think I'm crazy. You walk into me, I'm going to be nice because I understand it's your son, but I'm thinking the same thing. So, we'll handle the playing time. But then I also say this. If it's something not to do with playing time that's bothering your son, I need to know about that. I want to know about it. If he needs help or there's something wrong, we talk about helping out with the concession stand, boosters. Hey, I had to throw this one in. I'm not very proud of this, but I put it in there. But one fall, I had a college coach tell me that going forward, when they recruit a player, they were going to ask about the parents. And I hate to tell you this, it was one of my guys. He went as a college football player, and his dad alienated himself from that college football staff. And they could not stand him. And they said, from here on out, we're going to ask about that. And so I always tell people on stuff, whether it's, character evaluation, parents, all that, I say, look, I said, I'm going to tell the truth. I said, I'm going to try not to say bad stuff, but I am going to tell the truth because then I don't have any, I have no credibility if I lie for you. And I even tell them this, say, look, if you got negative thoughts about the staff, you're better off to keep it to yourself because it's going to be hard for your son to practice and play hard if he's not real sure that the coaches know what they're doing. So, something else I say, being to practice on time, your gear, all that, that's your son's responsibility, and we're going to hold him accountable for it. But, man, if you can help him get all those pieces right, we'll take the help. And, we had a young man, he was late for a Wednesday morning practice. And he said, well, it's my dad's fault. My dad didn't wake up. I said, that might have been how you all worked it out. But I said, no, this is your fault. I said, it's your job to get up and come to practice. No, it's my dad. I said, no, it's not your dad's job to get to practice. That's your job. And stuff like that. But anyway, I really stole that from you. And I give that to him in May. And I think it's helped. I mean, I'll say this, in 33 years, Paris, Mason, Mercer, now at Anderson, I mean, I would say that probably 98% of the parents have been super. They have been great. And I think there's two things for the coach. I know he didn't ask what the coach's role. I think there's two things that are really important. You got to be fair and you got to communicate. And I think if you're the head coach, if you're fair and you communicate, most of the time things will work out. Now, if you're not fair or if you don't communicate, I think you're going to have some problems. And even looking back on some times like if a guy was removed from the team, they'd be mad at me. I mean, they'd be furious. But over time, they would sort of handle it because they knew at the heart of the matter, well, he's not using my kid to win. He held my son accountable because he wants him to be a better person. So that sort of goes back to that communication piece. Again, I think I've been very fortunate. All four schools, the parents have overwhelmingly been supportive. They've been great. And I'm very thankful because I really don't feel like I've had some of these horrible parent stories I hear people talk about. I've been very thankful.
Yeah, I can see 100% how you would not have any problems with parents because you're so organized. Huh?
Well, I wouldn't say I haven't had any. I've had some, but I haven't been a lot. Yeah.
A minimum amount because you're so organized and you're so thorough. And I think that does have a whole lot to do with it, but my answer is I really believe to run a championship program, it takes everybody being on the same page. That's the parents, along with the players, the administration, the community, all play an important part. You can't do it alone. You need all of these people. You really do. You can't do it without the parents because the parents in today's football right now are a big part of the image that's spread out there of the football program. They're a big part of helping with the fundraising, the organization of everything, game day, banquets, everything. So you need everybody in order to run a championship program. I think as a head football coach, then you need to get everybody on that same page. I think that's kind of your job. It's your vision, so you got to sell everybody on your vision, and then you kind of define their roles after you sell them on your division or on your vision. And I think a lot of it starts with that mandatory parent meeting that you have. I had one every year.
You have to do that. And we have a book we give to every family. You've got to do that. You've got to. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, that's a perfect example why you had minimum, trouble out of parents is because of that book, that organization. And I always at that mandatory parent meeting, then I always spelled out everybody's, kind of their responsibility and the rules. And, I went through all the rules that I was going to, treat, how I was going to treat their players, what the rules they had to follow. And I did it with the players and the parents in there because I wanted them to see how their kid was going to be coached and held accountable. And, then afterwards, we always had, a meeting with the parents, a quarterback club meeting. I think it really starts to get this thing right. It really starts with a great quarterback club president. And I've been fortunate enough to have some great ones. I've been fortunate enough to be around some great ones. That person can make your job and your life so much easier if you have a good one, and it can make it so much harder if you don't have a good one. And so that is a key player, in my opinion, is to have a great quarterback club president because he is really going to be, or she is really going to be the ones that are in charge of organizing the parents and getting the parents. You don't have time to do all that. They're going to have to do that, and that's going to be their responsibility. And I've had some great ones. I had Steve Tammy, was one that was my quarterback club president forever at Boyle County. He was kind of like my Buddy Garrett of Friday Night Lights. He was. Me and him became really good friends. We did a lot together, but we were on the same page. We knew what it was going to take, and he did a great job of rallying the parents and getting parent involvement and helping with fundraising. And it was really, then my last one there was Lori Ann Clark. And what a super lady she is. I mean, she was a wonderful lady. She was such a hard worker, a good organizer, kept the parents involved, and she had the personality to do it, and just a super lady. And I know that Brandon has got one now, and his name is Jeff Reynolds. And I mean, he has taken it to a whole new level. I mean, with as far as communication, organization, getting the parents to participate. I mean, if there was a Hall of Fame for quarterback club presidents, Jeff Reynolds would be the president of it. He's that
That's
good. He's
pretty
at a
cool.
whole new level with it. He's very, very good.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, it takes a good president to help you get all of this organized. You can't do it by yourself. If you're doing that,
Yeah.
then you're not coaching. And so you got to have one of those.
Hey, this was one time that it was a negative, but it turned out good. We're struggling. And so my quarterback club president is calling me. They're not mad, but they're conveying negative messages repeatedly. And so finally I said, hey, I tell you what, I got an idea. You tell all these people complaining that if they've got a problem, they need to come and see me, and you're tired of being the middleman. And guess how many times I got a phone call after that there was a problem? Zero. It was all right after that. So I was glad I could help our president out and not have to filter out so many bad messages. But again, overwhelmingly, they've been good. Go ahead.
I never had to deal with that negativity because my president took care of it before it ever got to me.
Yeah. There you go. Good stuff.
That's when you know you got a good one.
Amen. Amen. I agree. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Hey, I had one of those sheets too, David, that I would give out to the parents, and I forgot where I got it from. And I know I probably got it somewhere, but it was like, how you should handle your son when he comes home and he's complaining about the coach. It was really, really good. And it kind of helped the parents out to guide them along the way, and teach them, things, how to handle, those situations.
Well,
really good.
One of the reasons that I wanted my sons to play football, and, you had this with your children, our kids, for the most part, they're pretty well behaved. They do their schoolwork. They've got decent manners.
They don't have
football was the only, but football was one of the few places that people would tell them, man, you got to do a lot better than that. Man, you got to give a better effort. They got a level of criticism and accountability at football that, other than from me and their mom, they didn't get anywhere else. All they got everywhere else was how wonderful they are. Well, they came to football practice. They didn't hear about how wonderful they were all the time, and they needed that. They needed somebody to get, and again, do it in a constructive way, positive, not cursing them or any of that. But they needed somebody that would say, you know what, I think there's a better level for you here, and we're going to work till we get it. And I was really glad you talk about, how to handle your son when he's having a tough time at practice. Man, my sons needed that, and I think it really helped them a lot as adults that, they had to go through that fire. It was good for them.
Yeah, it was. And Brandon had to go through it too. It was good. It was good. Yeah.
And that's a whole other episode in and of itself.
They would take out on him what they wanted to do to me when I was hollering at him.
Yeah.
When he was young, kidding. When he was young, when he's older, they wouldn't do that. Yeah. Anyway, we want to get on to the next segment, and that is the kind of the rapid fire second round games.
Let's do it.
What we did is we chose, really 2 games from each class. So there's 12 games on here. Actually 6 games, 12 teams that we want to look at and give our opinion on what we think. We won't spend a lot of time talking about him. We'll just give a quick. Do you want to tally these, David? Do you want to keep record of these and add them to our season ending rapid fire?
This is your baby. You, whatever you want. If you want to add them to the tally, let's add them. I think you sort of like that. Add them in there. Add them in there. Let's go.
I like to keep record of how you're doing. Yeah. Hey, first game up. The first two games up in 1A is Newport Central Catholic versus Bishop Brozard.
Yes. I'm going Newcastle. Hey, I got to have one quick story. Quick.
Yeah.
My first playoff game as a head coach was against Newport Catholic. Mike Yeagle from Beechwood, he told me, he said, David, they're going to come out in all these pads. He said they're going to look like they're all 350. He said they're not that big. So anyway, they come out of that tunnel. I mean, it looks like we're playing LSU. Those suckers are monsters. They are huge. So anyway, hey, we're playing them, and they kicked our tails, but we fought them a little bit. Man, hey, we're trying to attack and squeeze and all this kind of stuff. Man, my defensive tackle, Ronnie, Chenault, he runs to the sideline. He says, Coach, that technique's not working tonight. I said, hey, we invented a technique right there that night. We called it Paris. That's when we'd start cutting the legs on the old lineman if we're having any luck. But anyway, I'm going to go with Newcastle. Hey, Bob Schneider. Hey, I got one last real story. He got on me. We had played a 50 all year. My nose guard, I only had 27 kids. As a big kid, he wasn't very good, but we would make him submarine on first down. Then we'd take him out and play a 4-4 just because I had to use the bodies. Coach Schneider tells me that we ended up beating him that night. That was 94. And he told me that night, he said, David, you took out your nose guard. He said, you destroyed my game plan. I said, Coach, I knew he couldn't play against you. There's no way I would have let him play against you. And he just sort of shook his head like that. Oh, but anyway, I got Coach Schneider. He was all ready for that nose guard. And I'm like, that sucker can't play against Newcastle. No way. All right, go ahead. I'm not bad. Hey, that's the last time on the story.
They used to be a powerhouse.
They were crazy. Frank Jacobs, remember, went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Hey, Eddie Evanston.
Yeah.
Eddie Evanston from Newcastle, a great player and a great coach and a guest on our podcast.
Yeah. All right, next, Holy Cross out of Louisville and KCD.
KCD.
I'm with you on both of those so far. And then 2A, we got Danville and Somerset. This might be an interesting one.
I agree. I think Somerset's going to get them, but Danville's dangerous.
So who you picking?
I'm picking Somerset. Hey, and I wanted to add this too. David talked about public school facilities. Somerset's about ready to build something phenomenal. I think it's going to have an indoor turf 70 yards long. What I've been told, it's going to be the third biggest facility in Kentucky. UK is 1, Louisville is 2, Somerset is 3. But that's on the horizon. Yes, it's going to be an indoor, and it's going to be phenomenal.
I'm picking Danville on that one. They're having a great year. I know they're young, and I know it'll be a tall task to get that done. But they've been impressive. Listen to this one: Bracken County and Breathitt County. Isn't Bracken County up there by Mason?
Yes, it is. And I tell you what, this is a whole new level for Bracken County to be in this position that they're in. That is a tough one. I'm going to go Bracken.
Whoa. I'm going to go with Breathitt County.
Hard not to.
Yeah. How about 3A? How about Louisville Central and Lexington Catholic?
I'm going to go with Lexington Catholic.
I am too, but I'll tell you what, I'm not second guessing myself, but I will compliment Central. Louisville Central has played pretty good the last couple of games, haven't they?
Well, hey, they got Bardstown, which I think I picked Central and you picked Bardstown. I'm not for sure, but yeah, they've done a good job, and we always do stuff with them in the summer. Louisville Central, going back to Marvin and Mercer County days. I'm crazy about Louisville Central. I love their kids; they're super. But I do think Catholic right now is going to get them. I do.
Yeah. How about Rockcastle and Lawrence?
I think I'm going to go Lawrence.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're playing at Lawrence County. I'm gonna go with Rockcastle.
Well, that's a good pick. Hey, have you ever played a game at Lawrence County?
Never. Never.
Yeah, I've been there a couple times. I like it, but I think it's a tough place to go win. But I like Lawrence County. Hey, Billy Goldsmith, there's a name.
Yeah.
Billy Goldsmith. I love Billy Goldsmith.
Yeah. All right, we're going into 4A. How about
All
Covington? Oh my God, this is one of the top games. This is Covington Catholic and Johnson Central. Whoa.
Yeah, and it's at. I would have given the edge. I would have given the edge to Cov Cath, but at Johnson Central, I'm like, I think I'm still going to go with Cov Cath. I think they're both great teams. I really like this quarterback at Cov Cath. I think he's really good. And I tell you what, if that cat and the bunch can roll in and win at Boyle County last year with the talent they had, I think they can get it done here too. That was an insane win last year.
And I'm going with Johnson Central. I think Johnson Central.
Yeah.
Franklin, how about this one? Franklin Simpson and Paducah Tillman.
That's a tough one because Tillman's been struggling. Now, I know why Tillman struggled. Our old boy William Harris at Taylor County was the DC last week that made it tough on that Tillman offense. And you sort of know how it goes. If somebody sees a blueprint on how to defend a team, people start copying that blueprint. So I can see Franklin Simpson taking a lot of pieces of Williams' game plan to try to slow down Tillman. But I sort of still think Tillman's going to be better and Tillman's going to win.
That's who I'm picking as well. And they have been struggling. That kind of concerns me a little bit.
They get better. The bigger the game gets, they get better. It's just, has it started to click yet? But the closer they get to December, they'll play better. Yeah.
I was wondering if they had any injury or anything because they have been really off. Either that or some chemistry problems. I don't know. But anyway, 5A. Let's look at here's another really good game. Scott County and Cooper.
Hey, you talk about how good our district is. South Oldham came in fourth, and Cooper beat them 2 touchdowns. And a lot of people think Cooper's going to win it. It's a doggone good district. I'm going to go with Scott County on this one, though. I think the Cardinals will win. I think Scott County's playing pretty well.
Every time I pick Scott County, they lose, so I'm going to pick Cooper.
I got you. Jim will say thank you then.
Butler and Fairdale.
Man, I tell you what, there's 2 that sort of come out of nowhere. Yeah. Fairdale has really turned out to be much better than what anybody anticipated. I think that's a tough one to pick, too. I think I'm going to go Fairdale on this one.
Yeah, that's who I'm going with, David, is Fairdale.
Yeah.
And then 6A, we got Henderson and McCracken.
See, I think every time I pick Henderson, they win. Mojo Hollowell, do you remember that name?
Oh yeah.
Mojo, man, he was a heck of a coach. Then went to Owensboro Catholic, or I believe that was it. But yeah, I believe Henderson County will get it. Randy Reese was there. Jeff Reese played there.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, they've really improved as of lately. They have really improved. But I'm going to go with McCracken County. I think McCracken will win it. But I'm telling you what, it's a toss-up. It really is.
It is. Yeah.
And then the last game here is Bryan Station and Frederick Douglass. I think that'll be a good one.
Yeah, I think it will be. And I think Bryan Station, this is their time of year, but I still think Frederick Douglass is just going to have a few more players.
I'm going with Frederick Douglass as well. All right, that's it. That was some 6 pretty good games, really, second round games.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. You didn't pick 12 games as going to be easy to pick the winner. You picked really good games, and they were tough games to pick. But what matters is they're going to be great games and great experiences for those kids. That's what matters. So, the final outcome, everybody won't be happy, but for those 4 quarters, those kids are going to have the time of their life playing in a big football game.
There's only going to be 8 teams left in each class after this Friday.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it sure is. That's a good accomplishment.
Class. Yeah, the grade 8. Yep. I always call that the grade 8. It's the Sweet 16
there you go.
Right now. Yeah.
Yep.
David, what about next week?
Well, I'm excited. Hey, he's been on for state championships. He sends us some great questions. It's finally time. Hunter Cantwell is going to be on next week, the head coach at Cal, who's done a great job. And I always love to go back to this. 2003, the Friday after Thanksgiving, we're playing at Highlands against Dale Mueller's team and Jordan Neville's. You and Brandon are playing Tillman with Perry Thomas and Hunter Cantwell's the quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the whole family's playing in this Final Four. But I'm excited to have him. Our tough topic, I think, is a really good one from BE Charger on Bluegrass Preps. 65 players or 105 players, 9 through 12. Which is better? I thought that was a cool question. So we'll get into that one next week. You know, something I've been through that had never happened before. We got up to 77 at Anderson. I think we finished with 74. And I'm never going to run a kid off. I don't do that. And if everybody's doing what they should, they're welcome, and we'll give it a shot. But I have figured something out. 75 fits me. I get over 75. I mean, that's a lot of people that can do a lot of stuff, you know? I mean, that's a lot of people. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm already answering the question. But I'll have a little twist on it anyway, because it'll be a qualified answer. Go ahead, anyway. Or I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Circumstantial. You know, sometimes I struggle with vocabulary on the podcast. I get excited, and what I say doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Another thing you struggle with is answering the question this show versus next show.
I know it. I'm gonna get better at that. Hey, we're only at week 13. I've got 3 more weeks to try to fix this. Next week, I'm not gonna answer the question a week early. I'm really not.
Time for the coach's office trivia time. Answers. Versailles in 1962 won a Class A title. Thomas Jefferson in 1971 won a 3A title. Mount Sterling in 1969 won the Class A title. Henderson in 1959 won the 2A title. Elkhorn City in 1964 won the Class A title. Flagey won 3 state titles in 3A in 1961, 1967, and 1971. And Lynch East Main won 4 state titles in Class A in 1959, 1960, 1963, and 1968.